Hey, you're listening to Walk-Ins. Welcome. It's the definitive podcast for all things tripling your revenue and your patient care and your patient experience. And I am just like zoned out completely from a weekend being in Vegas. Podcast.
Let's do this, guys. This is our recap from Vegas because we're still in Vegas mentally.
And spiritually.
Yeah. So typically we record this on Fridays. It is a Friday. But this is 2 days after we came back from Vegas. And I don't know about you, but Vegas is a theme park.
It's, yeah.
When I was walking through, I was like, this is a theme park. There's music everywhere you go. There are people everywhere. There are free things, and there are lots of expensive things to do. And you have to walk everywhere.
And it's nothing like the movies.
No, the movies were very deceiving.
That threw me off. Or things have changed since any recent like Las Vegas type movies have come out.
Well, and it's so funny because I think the joke is everything is 2 miles away in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because when you're staring at it, like, oh, that's just right up the road. You know,
that's a filthy lie.
15 minutes later of walking, like, I'm almost there. And then you realize you just left the casino, like, because they wrap you through. That was hilarious. Like, you go through one entrance, and we make all the way across, and then we realize that the next entrance that was 50 feet over would have gotten us there in a tenth of the time.
Right.
But anyway.
Well, we were there for the Urgent Care Association conference. It was called Be the Change or Make a Change or Change is Coming or something about change.
Yeah.
What was it called? Do you remember?
I have to go back and look. But they already have it lined up for next year in Vegas again. Actually, I think the Caesars Forum.
I think it's going to be the same Caesars Forum, same bat time, same bat channel.
I think it's like the April 13th or something. Anyway, we'll learn more about that in the future because we actually have the CEO of UCA coming on to our podcast. We're going to interview them, which is fantastic. But no, our goal today is to kind of show you, like, one, to encourage you. If you're in the urgent care world in particular, you should come check out this yearly or annual convention because it was good. Like,
I enjoyed it. I know the people that we talked to, there were mixed emotions about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of info that they were pushing out. And then from like an exhibitor standpoint, some people, we had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
And we did not have a baseline. So we don't know what good is good and bad is bad. But from our standpoint, we talked to a lot of people.
We did. Talked to a lot of people, had a lot of strong conversations, met some of you awesome urgent care owners and facilitators. And, you know, it's one thing to sit behind this microphone and talk and video, I guess, at you would be the best way to say it, versus interact with you. And I just really enjoyed, here's what we didn't meet. We didn't meet any of our podcast people.
No, didn't meet any of our podcast people. Didn't meet any of our clients.
Yeah, our clients weren't there, and our podcast listeners, if they were there, didn't come say hi to us. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, so it was everybody we met was brand new, except for the guy at the airport. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, well,
and then there was actually a pediatric urgent care here in Birmingham that we knew about, and they came up to us and were like, "Hey, you're from Birmingham? How small?" Anyway, but no, it was all brand new people all across the country. A lot of Texans,
there was a lot of Texas.
A lot of Texas, a lot of California.
A lot of Texas and California.
And maybe because it's in Vegas, I don't know. But
easier to get to.
But they were all you met a pilot or wannabe pilot.
I did.
Yeah.
He wants to go fly with me. I think we'll make that happen.
Out in New Orleans, so that'll be fun too. But no, I just, overall though, super cool. And some of the feedback we were hearing. So when we were sitting there talking to theirs came through. Now, most of them were either the doctor owner, a lot of those, a lot of managers, a lot of directors,
right,
and things like that. So they all had like high top of mind type stuff. We even met one group where they're like, "Yeah, we're opening up our third location right now," and we're like, "Why are you here? We have no idea." And then, but they joked and said it was supposed to open a few months ago. Everything got pushed back and just landed. But
they had already paid for everything. I'll tell you why they were here.
Yeah, and they're like, "We got to get our money's worth out of this."
Right.
Anyway, so like they were opening up. We met one that I love. The one guy, he was like, "Oh, I operate this. Well, how many urgent care locations? Oh, we have 271. I'm like, okay, you're really chill for that many. He's like, yeah, I look over 75 of them.
Yeah.
She looks over this many, and we got one other guy who looks over that many. I'm like, Wow.
I was like, do you need some rope? Like, because I would have to hang myself with that many locations.
That's a lot of locations, but that's awesome. Can we help you? I don't know.
We can.
We will try our best.
That's right.
But anyway, and then the weird part for us was we were one of 2 marketing companies there.
Okay. So let's just get real for a second. We were a marketing company and the other company was a web development company.
Right.
And what's funny about that, because we're transparent about everything that we do, we're a web development company that happens to be able to provide a website for you.
Yeah, like
Our
websites come out of necessity, not out of a pure sale.
And we just give them to you.
Yeah.
Like we're not charging you for a website whenever we do marketing for our companies. The other company was a website company pretending to be a marketing company. Now I'm not beating them up. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is it was very obvious that they are a very good web development company.
And then they had some add-on servers.
That just, there's only 2 of them. I don't know how much marketing they could do. So nonetheless, that's not the point. The point is like we had 2, the reason I say that is for this reason. You had a marketing company, you had a web development company, and then everything else was like medical supplies.
Yeah.
Or softwares.
And lots of x-ray machines.
EMRs.
Lots of software.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably say 50% plus was software, not expo. But
I would say Solve Health, Xperity, and McKinnon drove the front of that place.
Yeah. They had a lot of influence.
Right.
And then they had all the x-ray machine companies. And then you had a couple of one-off things that were like security or TV stream, like some like add-in pieces to the puzzle. But ultimately, what it all boiled down to, majority of them there were like, we're here to fix your operations to make it better.
Right.
And this is what we offer. There was even a hospital system there trying to add urgent cares to their list.
And so that's a theme that we're seeing. And I'd be interested to hear from you, the listener, if excuse me, if you're a hospital breaking into the urgent care space. I would love to talk to you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I would love to get your thought process because it's 2 schools of thought here. One, we're going to give this a try, and you're failing miserably because you thought it was going to operate like an emergency room.
Yep.
And it's absolutely nothing like an emergency room.
And then the other school thought is we're just going to buy up a bunch of urgent cares and put our name on it.
Buy what works and then just keep it. Here's what I know for sure. I say little in jest urgent care. I should have said the independent urgent care. Mm-hmm. Y'all ain't friends.
No.
Y'all are not friends. Because that would be like them stepping into the hospital space. It just would not go well.
Yeah. And what we've learned too, the ones that were bought up by the hospitals, they're like, our hands are tied now. We can't really do a whole lot. It's been okay, but you can tell it's like now we're just part of a system.
Right.
And so we don't get to move around and flex around like we used to. But no, it is interesting because it makes sense because you look at an urgent care is taking patients from them from 2 avenues. You got the ER and you got the primary care. Like those are those are funnels into the hospital, right?
That's right.
Like if I go to a UAB ER system, they are obligated, extremely high incentivized to send me to an UAB hospital to be further treated if the ER can't handle it.
Right.
Independent urgent care doesn't care. They're like, whichever one you prefer, we'll send you to.
That's right.
Or whichever one's closest by because we need to send you now. So it's one of those.
Here's the best way I could say it. It's like buying from farmers insurance. You're only going to get farmers insurance.
Yeah.
Or if you buy from an independent brokerage.
And they got 30 options.
And they just find the right one that's going to be the right fit for you and your need.
Yeah.
Right. Neither one is wrong, by the way.
No.
Like I don't want to give that impression at all. I think it's just the difference in the 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just one of those things where it, obviously they want to keep you in your system.
Sure.
And then, but ultimately, like, where's the line of, is it the care that you're caring for, or is it like we kept you in our cycle?
I have to tell this story. We have a friend named Mia, and I'm not going to say her last name. But she owns a daycare.
2 now.
And then she owned an urgent care. That's how I got, like, I don't even know how we connected those dots, but we did. Then she owned an urgent care for children, like a children's urgent care type business. And I told her she needed to get one of those trampoline parks, and she could just feed it. Like, send the kids to the trampoline park, break their arms, send them to the urgent care, fix them, put them back in daycare. I was like, that would have come full circle.
I mean, it really would have, but it's one of those. I mean, that makes me think about the attraction we went to the last night in Vegas, Meow Wolf, and how it was a system with Omega Mart.
I can't even.
And how you couldn't escape it. Anyway,
I still haven't fixed that.
If you're really curious, because we cannot explain what it is, because it would never make a lick of sense to you. But go look up Meow Wolf, and you'll see all sorts of stuff. But no, it is one of those things, like they keep you in there, and it makes sense. Like, it makes sense of why they would do that. But that's why you see the hospital systems just jump both feet into urgent care.
Right.
And like you said, the general consensus is hospitals are like, crap, that is not what we expected.
That is not. It is not the same
They're
thing.
like, if we built it, they will come. It is not what's happening.
Nope.
And the difference between an ER and urgent care is pretty dramatic, because, I mean, there are lots of things an ER will do would rather not do in the same way with an urgent care. A lot of things they will do, and some things they'd rather not do.
I like to argue stay in your lane.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what to do, but at the same time, I would tell you become incredibly good at what you're good at, instead of becoming okay at everything.
Yeah, and then they'll show up, right? The mediocrity will smoke you out a little bit.
Well, back to the Urgent Care Association, we had a really good time. We were there for 5 days. We were doing things for 3 of those days, right?
Yeah, and I think the entire convention was technically 6 days,
right?
6 or 7 days. Like, it was a long convention, but we recognized, like, the days that we were there were the heavy days. Like, there's a full expo going on that we were part of. There were sessions all day long. And it was so funny. You'd see them come out of a set. Like, the first night was funny because it was like an intro to the expo.
Right.
And so it was at night. So it was like, what was it, like 4:30 to 6?
Something like that, yeah.
Hour and a half. And you saw everybody coming, all the doctors, and they're coming in, and you could see on their face, they're like, I'm still processing what I just listened to for 6 hours.
Right.
Like, they were just like, how you doing? I'll come back to you. But it was still
we'll talk later.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, overall, and also as a side note, the restrooms at Caesar's Forum are probably the best restrooms
I've ever been to.
Best restrooms in the city for sure.
Yeah.
It didn't feel real.
Welcome to the Urgent Care Association and Walk-Ins Welcome podcast, where we're talking to you about restrooms.
There you go. It's a Seinfeld episode, just don't know it. But anyway, going back to that, so there for a couple of days, great session. I think they even had like live trainings on certain procedures that you can do.
They did.
There was a company in there, I think called like Hippo Health or something.
Yep.
And they were like, how to set an arm properly or relocate the shoulder. And you can do like
free sutures.
Yeah. Well,
nobody signed up for that class.
I tell you, the best thing I saw though was our expo neighbor. Yeah. He had a set of now they were selling some type of ear thing. I didn't know quite.
It was earwax cleaner.
It was a cleaner from like a medical grade standpoint. But they also had something called shot blockers.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. So, and they even said your doctor should have these somewhere. Just ask for them. If they don't, they can get them pretty inexpensively. But a shot blocker like stimulates where your shot's going to go, so you feel no pain.
It's fantastic.
And anyway, learned a lot of fun stuff. But going back to so here we are in the expo. We're talking to hundreds of urgent cares, and you know, we have a list of a 50 plus that we had a good conversation with. And here's some common themes that we found talking to them. One, hospital systems don't let you do a whole lot. You're in their world and they can't, there's no decision making being made.
Yeah, it's very limited.
Yeah. Two, they haven't, we're going to talk marketing here. They have an internal marketing team or person, and they think they're doing a good job, but they don't really know.
Yeah, we're going to come back actually, just a teaser. We're going to do a whole episode on internal marketing versus hiring out a marketing agency like us or someone else.
And how to figure out if it's working.
But what was interesting about that to me is exactly what you said here is they didn't know if it was working or not. And I would even make the argument like that marketing person can't be good at everything.
No.
I mean,
we're not good at everything.
I own a marketing agency and I'm not good at everything. I'm good at this one area of marketing, and then I hired to my strengths. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, I hired to my weaknesses, right? You do that as a doctor. Anyway, I don't want to do the whole episode now, but you're hiring to your weaknesses.
Well, even at our booth, we were giving away these stress balls that were shaped bandages and like pins and all stuff. And like, are y'all a print company? Nope.
And they wanted to know that because we had our swag game on point.
Yeah, and
we're marketers.
Yeah, we had a
like,
spin. We had
ours sucks.
we had a spin wheel. We had all these things, and they said y'all are the fun group, the fun booth. We even scared a guy once.
It was funny. Like we would have other vendors that were like, "What are y'all doing over there? Y'all are having way too much fun.
Y'all are laughing way too much.
Like, why are y'all having fun? Stop it."
Yeah, exactly. They didn't like us for that.
This is a medical conference. This isn't for fun. Like you haven't been around patient care marketing pros before.
But so some of the other topics that or consistencies and themes were they had hired a company, but they weren't doing what we said they should be doing. And actually, that's a little bit of a reflection of the talk that Nick gave, which was kind of fantastic. We'll go into that in a minute.
Thanks, man.
But anyway, they're like, yeah, we hired them. We think they're, I can see they put posts on my website. I see social posts, but I don't really know if I'm getting more or less or the same as I did before. Don't know. Big question mark.
Right.
So we heard that.
Show your work.
Yeah, show your work. And then some were like, I need your help right now. I'm starting a new urgent care. We're not getting the results we used to. COVID gave us the blanket of safety for a while in terms of demand. Now we're having to fight for it again. It's not just
not only are you having to fight for it, you're having to do urgent care practice like pre-COVID. You have to go back to that kind of urgent care style.
Yep.
And there's more competition.
Yeah,
and less demand.
And then you have this complication of telehealth and what's there and what's not, and it's just layers to it. And so there was a lot going on. And then there was also the ones, hey, we have a company. We're in contract right now. We'll end in 6 months. We'll check back with you. So that was the general themes that we were hearing, unless I missed one or two.
No, those are the general themes. That's you got that right. It was I have a marketing company and I'm happy with them, and that's okay.
Yeah, and there's that one too.
I have a marketing company and I don't know what they're doing for me. I've hired an internal person and I don't know what they're doing for me. Or the worst, I'm doing it myself.
They had a couple of those. They were doing everything themselves. Like, who does your marketing? They would just raise their hand.
Let me just tell you, I handed them a book immediately. Like, you don't even spin the wheel. Take this book. If you plan to do it yourself, at least do it with a strategy. Here you go. Everything I got.
Yep. And so, and it was funny too, because we're going to talk in just a second, but that book, like we even said, this is what we do for you. You can actually do it yourself, but you're going to hate it about 10 pages, like a chapter in, you're like, okay, I don't have time for this.
I'm going to tell you something funny that I found just interesting is we basically couldn't give the book away, which was fine. Right. Like
at the expo. Yeah.
I'm not like I wrote it. You have to, which I didn't. The team actually did, if I'm being honest. The whole team put together this book. Right. I wrote a chapter of it.
Yep.
That being said, once I gave the talk on the Google Advantage, they were screaming out the door. Like they had to have the book.
Yeah. What we gave away at the talk was more than what we gave away over 2.5. After a 45-minute talk, every book that we had was gone. Yep. And then, which was more than what we gave away
the whole conference.
At the whole conference.
Yeah.
So, and just to put in perspective, we had 50 books, and we had about 30 going into the talk, and all 30 went with the talk.
Like at the end of that talk, I mean, it was 5 minutes. Anyway, look, I'm not trying to promote the book as in look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm trying to promote the book as in this is a super valuable benefit to you. We put our best work in there. Reach out to us, hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com. If you want a copy, we'll send it to you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go through. So we talked about what the expo stuff was, and then Nick got to talk.
I said words.
So the Google Advantage was the topic. We actually have the full deck of slides available. So if you guys want it too, just send us an email to hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com.
And if we can get Hannah to do it, we'll put it in the show notes. That would be awesome. We got to come up with our own show notes. I feel like that's going to be a thing.
Anyway, but let's kind of go through the show notes. He's writing it down right now. I'll let you send that message. Anyway, so inside the talk, we talk about the things you can do on Google from the standpoint of these are things you should be doing. This is what you should not be doing. There's something called ChatGPT, which most of us heard of. It's a evil and mirror. It's like smoke and mirrors. If you don't do it right, it can actually harm you.
Yep.
And then we talked about reviews, and we went through all this stuff. So, it's about 35, 40 minutes of talking. And then we saved 10 minutes essentially for Q&A. And the questions were fascinating.
They were really good ones.
So one is talking about Google reviews, and we pretty much said like you guys are in a weird market weird industry where you get a ton of reviews. Like there's a huge number for you guys, but you got to make sure you do good work at the same time, because sometimes you had one lady you met.
It was an awkward discussion.
It was. She is basically saying, "What's the difference between the quality of the review and the quantity? I can't seem to stay above a 2 something." And then Nick's like, and this is in front of 40-ish people. Nick's like, I think you have an internal problem, not a review problem.
Yeah, look, if you have over 1,500 reviews and you haven't broken 2 stars, at some point you got to look in the mirror and go, "What are we doing wrong?"
Yeah, exactly. And she's like,
"There ain't nothing I can do to help you.
Yeah, she's
Y'all
like,
suck at what you do. Come on."
Because she was convinced it was more of I'm not asking for the review correctly,
right?
Or I'm only getting bad reviews. And I was like, no, there's a good chance with that many reviews, you're just not. Something is wrong, and you need to look at it.
Right.
So that was a big thing. Talked about so one of the things that we had done an SEO game showing the different keywords, and like blew their minds when we got to how many people search for urgent care versus doctor. And one of the guys put his hands up. Well, I wrote content 3 years ago about doctor stuff. Should I is it still good? We're like, it was 3 years ago.
And in full Nick Horde fashion, I was like, yeah, nobody cares that you're a doctor.
Yeah, they don't. Not because he said,
no offense, I'm not mad at you, but they don't care. They're not searching for a doctor.
Because he asked, like, do you have data from 3 years ago? And we're like, maybe, but not for this presentation. And then we're like, well, if it's 3-year-old content, you're gonna need to update it anyway. Like it's just that time. It was just funny because like those are like, it seems like, oh duh, but
it's real though.
Yeah, it's a real thing, because a lot of people do that set and forget mentality with their content.
Right.
Hey, I got a great looking website with all this stuff on it. I'm not going to touch it for 3 to 4 years until it's time to redo the website.
That reminds me, on a completely random and in real time note, we need to go through our original website, make sure that Google My Business is not on there anywhere.
Yeah, I think we got rid of it, but we'll have to go back.
I just now thought about that.
Anyway,
speaking of writing old content, you have to update your existing content.
So another one too is when we were going through how to properly use ChatGPT and how to make sure it's not AI content, there were quite a few faces in that talk that were like, "Oh crap, I've copied and pasted a few times and didn't think about it."
Yep.
And just the FYI, if you use ChatGPT and you put
they were like, "Don't look at me."
Yeah, like, oh, I thought I was so good. I was ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And then actually you went backwards and you didn't know it. One of the best things that I heard out of the questions was using the bad reviews as topic discussions.
That was cool. And that wasn't our idea.
That wasn't our idea.
That was a doctor.
That was a doctor had raised his hand and said, "I've done this and it works great." And we're like, that is fantastic. But yeah, what he said was if you would get a lot of bad reviews around a certain thing going on, or like a misunderstanding of some sort, or whatever it was, he would turn that into like blog content or service page stuff, because obviously it was a big deal to people, and they would build his website out a little bit better.
I don't know if you heard him, but he said like one of the topics that he threw out there was save your spot online versus check in.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, okay,
yeah,
people think it's 2 totally different things.
Yeah, the same, and we ran into that with one of our own urgent cares where there's a confusion of checking in online means I have my spot, I'm there, I'm locked in. While save your spot, it's like, here's a slot, but you still have to show up.
Yep.
If you don't show up on time, you've kind of lost your slot. Anyway,
shout out to our friends at Solve Health who solved that problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, Solve Health, you guys kind of set the precedent on when you walk in, you couldn't miss them.
They looked good. They looked real good there. Anyway,
12,
we'll do it next time.
Like 12 people there.
12 people, candy. Computers set up. They were there to do business, man.
Like it had a whole roof in place. Right. Like it was cool.
Well, let me give my thoughts real quick, and then you can take it wherever you want, Michael. But my initial thought on this whole thing, because I had no idea what to expect. The people that put on the Urgent Care Association that put on the event, in my opinion, did a first-class job.
Oh, yeah. We were so impressed with because we had no idea. So we're like eating breakfast and all stuff before we go into the expo, like setting time for lunch. And then we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden you see like rows of food show up.
Not just crappy food, though. Like it was like really well done, good food.
Restaurant quality food.
And drinks.
Yeah.
Like I had
open bar.
What was that tea I drank? I can't even remember.
The matcha tea?
Matcha tea. Like this thick, creamy matcha tea. And I'm going, that's got real fruit in it.
Yeah. And an open bar and like nice coffee bar with little jars of honey. Like it was cool.
They had a snack bar one day where it just had rows of different kinds of chips. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it, and it was a nice surprise. The unfortunate side of that is if they don't do it next year when we go back, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, because
they've set the standard now.
We ordered a bunch of snacks for ourselves, shipped to ourselves, and then we didn't even
eat them.
Like maybe half of it, and then next year we're probably like, don't do it this time. They got us covered. And
they better have it.
They better have it.
Like, okay, PF Chang's is my jam, right, for Chinese food or Asian food or whatever. Yeah. I can't eat Kung Pao chicken anywhere else in the world because the first time I ever had it was at PF Chang's, and they do it radically different than everything else.
Yep.
And now I can't eat it anywhere but PF Chang's. That's going to be the problem with the Urgent Care Association is that you did it so well, I'm not going to be able to do it anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you got to do it that way.
We were happy as exhibitors.
They brought, I'm going to say enough people, enough foot traffic. I don't want to say it was a lot.
It wasn't overwhelming.
There was plenty of time for conversation without feeling rushed.
I think so. We had 4 people in our booth. I think there were probably 4 or 5 instances where we were talking to 2 urgent cares simultaneously.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. So, so it wasn't, but it was good. It was a good pace. Like there were some moments where you could definitely tell a session had started and everybody was checking out a session. But then once the breaks came in, like you would see them trickle in. Like the biggest night was the first night because it was only an hour and a half exposure. And then the next 2 days, I was like, okay, it's pretty well spread out. But it was a good pace. Like, it wasn't overwhelming for either side.
Right. As not a vendor, but a participant, somebody who an urgent care who was there visiting, right? The pros and cons. The pros was you had lots of opportunity to get in on sessions and multiple sessions to choose from. The cons were you couldn't get to all of them, and some good ones overlapped.
Yeah,
right?
there were some like you had to pick and choose.
Yeah, so there, I don't know if they would have benefited because I didn't get to go to the other ones, just the one that I did. I don't know if they would have benefited from less sessions. I don't know. Well, but people couldn't go to all the sessions they wanted to go to, and some of them were very clearly based on the feedback that we got. Were not happy with some of the sessions because they loved ours.
Well, we heard a lot of
different.
We'll find out from the surveys. So we'll sending out surveys
for sure.
Next week. But it seems like there was a lot of informational sessions,
right.
And then like we were one of the practicals, like do this right now.
Yes.
And so it's kind of up in the air. But the reality is, I mean, there were a couple 100 urgent cares there, so they would never want one session for each block because you don't want 300 urgent cares in one session.
No, I do get that. I do.
Yeah.
But they could have spread it out where there were you could tell when there was no sessions and they were just sending them to the vendors.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's all I'm getting at is if they had done less sessions or the same amount spread out, we would have had more opportunity as a vendor to talk to more people because there were times like 45 minutes to an hour where we wouldn't even see anybody.
Yeah, we were just chilling.
And then that means they're all tied up in sessions.
Yep.
So anyway, that's thing number one. That's a pro con. I think the time was right, at least from a vendor perspective.
It was just enough.
Yeah, it was just, I was ready to go when it was time to go.
I didn't feel like we got shorted.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
They heavily respected the vendors, and that you could tell that they heavily respected the participants as well.
Yeah, I mean, none of us felt like one was prioritized over the
That's
other.
right.
And then when we would talk to the staff, they were always pretty chill.
Yeah.
Way more chill than I thought they would have been.
I will tell you this, you're not getting in there without a stinking badge.
Yeah, now the security, which was not UCA.
Dude, that security was tighter than 2 coats of paint. You're not getting through.
That's a funny phrase. No, but the security was, okay, so side Subaru story, because why not?
That was fun.
So I'm a Subaru fan.
Pay somebody. That's funny.
So it would happen. So I'm a Subaru fan, and like I've been a Subaru fan a long time. We're literally walking to the convention, and next door to us, like down the hallway, like 50 steps, was the Subaru Navigating the Stars convention, which was an internal Subaru dealership only convention, no public. And I was like, crap.
No public.
No public. I was like, crap, I want to go in there. Because I walked by and the door was open. I could see like all this merchandise you could buy. And I was like, I want to go in there. So I tried. and they stopped me as hard as they possibly could because I didn't have a white badge. And then they turned me around. Like they attacked me. And so I was like, well, crap. So every time we got in the elevator, I get in the elevator with like 10 Subaru people, and I'd say like, yeah, I'm a big Subaru guy. I love to get some stuff. And I would just kind of say like, I'd pay somebody to go buy me some stuff in there. And I go, yeah. Nothing ever came of it. And then sitting there walking with Hannah from our hotel room to the UCA conference, getting ready to start. She said, you still get fired, anybody? I was like, no. She said, hang on. She looked over to the right, and there's a Subaru guy like 5 feet from us.
Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan Bennett.
Dylan's awesome.
Dylan was great. Anyway, she's like, sir. She's like, I have a really weird question, but hear me out. This guy loves Subaru so much. He has an STI. Like, he loves them. He wants to go in there and buy stuff, but he can't. Could you go in there and just take some pictures of stuff, send it to us, and we'll pay for it? Okay, yeah, sure. What's your cell? And then like
he didn't just do it, man.
He
took video and like, modeled stuff.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So he goes like literally 10 minutes later. I get a picture, and it's like, here's some pictures, and then he's like, here's a video of everything, and I was like, this is fantastic. So I sent him back, and I said, I want that and this size. And then like 10 minutes later, he came back, and he's holding it, the 2 items that I wanted. And he said, is this what you want? I had a friend hold it up for me so we could make sure you get what you want. It's like, that's exactly what I want. And then he sent me a screenshot of the receipt. And I said, great, I'll bring you cash right now. Great. And so within like a 30-minute window, I went from I'm never getting Subaru stuff to I had to hand him a bag of stuff in my hand.
You still never got in there, though.
They would not
let you in.
I snuck into the main event that was letting out, which was just cool to see cars on the stage and their big Subaru sign because they were all leaving.
Right.
But no, that expo, the merchandise side, they were not going to sell me anything.
Mm.
Anyway.
Well, so the overall picture, we had a blast. We loved meeting the urgent cares that were there. We loved meeting the other vendors that were there. And I want to tell you, don't sleep on this podcast. And what I mean by that is we got some really good guests out of that convention. Mm-hmm. They're going to come be on our podcast, and they're going to bless and benefit you by listening to what they have to say.
I think we talked to 16 potential podcast guests.
Yes.
And there was a combination of urgent cares, vendors for urgent cares,
real estate.
There were layers to it. There was even the one I'm kind of excited about, oddly, there was one furniture vendor. And that's going to be a fascinating story because there's so much science and data behind why the chair looks the way it does and why it sits the way it does.
I was thinking the scent.
Oh, the scent marketing?
Smell marketing.
Yeah, the scent marketing stuff.
I was like, this is genius. I love it.
That was always our favorite booth to walk by because it smells pretty good.
It smells magnificent.
Anyway,
what's going on?
So we're having a bunch of guests come on based out at UCA conference, and we met all the people, which is super exciting. It's good for us, good for y'all. And honestly, like we're trying to add that value, and this is how it's going to come through.
We want to make sure that we're continuing to serve this audience. We love it. We love the patient care space, the clinic space, the urgent care space, and we would love your feedback. There's a couple ways to give that feedback. One is going to leave us a review. All right. I like the way Dave Ramsey says it. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Leave us a 5-star. However, we're not that way all the time. We would rather have an honest review. 5 stars is what that looks like. And
don't lie to us with a 1.
That's right. Another way to get the word out is to share an episode with somebody that you think would benefit from it. And if you hate it, share it with multiple people.
You know, we had a couple urgent cares come up to us and say, "Oh, I've been listening to your podcast on the plane."
Oh, I had no idea.
There were a couple of them.
Oh, I didn't meet any of our listeners. I love that.
Yeah, there was one, not many, and then there were a couple that said, "I'm adding it right now so I can listen on the way back,"
which I love.
Yeah.
And so if you're a new listener to the podcast, welcome to the club. You're in.
If you made it to the final of this episode, you're doing good.
Another way, and this will be the final thing, then we'll wrap up, is let us know by emailing us, hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com. Let us know what you think of the episode, what we can do better, and maybe if you would be a good candidate to be an interview on this podcast, if you got something that you can add, if you're a rapidly growing urgent care, if you're growing in multiple locations, if you hate it and you want to sell it, whatever it is, let us know. We'll vet you out and see if this would be a good fit for you. If not, don't contact us, but go leave that review nonetheless.
All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
Have a great week. See you next Wednesday.